Um, I'm talking today about the integration of social and emotional competences in career management skills concepts, and I will outline in three steps. First of all, why this is relevant in the context also of this conference on disrupted futures. I will look on certain models that are existing and how we can look at them. The context are vulnerable young people, from my view, in the labor market and their future, which is in risk of being disrupted. And then I present a concrete proposal how social emotional competence can be part of a career management understanding for the future. If we're talking about vulnerability of young people, of course, it's about the broader environmental influence. And I think this is what is discussed in this conference very broadly: economical, social, cultural, political, and we all experience here disruptions. So the exposure to external negative events, like, for instance, Corona, post-Corona, but also political instability. And on the other hand, the reflection by internal stress. So from research, we can see very clearly that those two levels, external, internal, correspondent. And we're talking then about people who do not have the inner resources to balance internal stress with external influence. So what might help is risk perception, resilience. We all know about this discussion, the adaptability, skills, and ways to cope with what is external exposing to us. We looked at that topic in two projects in the last 3 years. The one is the Strengths Project, where we looked for what do we know for sure on social emotional competences in terms of relevance for careers, but also in terms of learning of social emotional competences. And then we had also a project directly on developing career management skills frames, and we try to look there broader than traditional models. So why this is relevant? I think it is clear that work life, economy, and the societal call for social and emotional skills is almost relevant in all fields of work and life. And OECD said that already 2018. And I think there's a lot of evidence around this change. So, for instance, we know that humans need certain stability to develop and have a healthy life. So human conditions do not change generally. So we have ontological needs, for instance, in the young age, to develop a personality, to develop a full functional person. And at the same time, of course, humans are adaptive to changing environment. So it is not a call for we cannot change the environment, that everything needs to be the same all the time. But of course, if the speed of change and the disruptions are too harsh and too fast, instability might reach, for those people I mentioned in the earlier minutes, to a critical level. So I think we are facing in these times a paradox task. We need to realize relative stability for the people in a very unstable world. I think this is what is on the stake, and with what we present here, we try to reflect and react to that. So where's my... Okay. First of all, of course, we look on career research and try to adapt what is already said in studies, in reports. And you see here in the next two slides, some of the most relevant authors worked on this issue. So one starting point is that literature says early that emotion can be employed to elaborate current notions of career management. So this is not new what I'm talking about here, but it's not realized, I would say. And I think Kit would agree with that. So exploring the experience, the expression and management of emotion should be reflected when we talk about career development. And while this is a conceptual statement, we have then also a lot of empirical research saying that the effective emotional regulation, for instance, is not associated with different health and socio-psychological benefits, but can also help employees to manage many work and career-related challenges. So all this external influences to our careers and so on. Other research show, for instance, that career success is related directly to the emotional perception of people, or that career adaptability, which is definitely one of the most researched aspects in new career research, is directly intervened with the possibility of people to shape their affective states, and both work together in both directions. So affective states management helps to adapt, and better adaptability competences are positive in the effect on the affective status. So Florian already mentioned the DOTS model, and just brief, I think this is the very general starting point for all the career management skills debate: decision learning, opportunity awareness, transition learning, self-awareness. So these are the backbone for all career management models. I just want to be precise that also Bill Law, who is the founder of the DOTS model, said relatively early, it's more than 20 years ago, that to infuse with feelings of all the career path and the career decisions need to be reflected. So there is an updated reflection about the DOTS model, and we should all be aware of that. One argument I want to bring forward is that we have in other contexts than career development or career research itself, already since a long time, broader models being more complete and balancing cognitive, social, and emotional aspects. This is World Health Organization in 1994. So I think this is a call to be balanced in all fields, or what we worked with a lot, the social emotional learning concept originally from the US, from the CASEL, and also combining emotional and social competence, then with at the end the ability to make balanced decisions, not just informed decisions, but as decisions that also resonates with our emotional abilities and social competences. And I said it earlier, also OECD has, from my eyes, a very interesting model, being very holistic and saying two things which are relevant for me in this context: that emotional regulation and also the collaborative skills, which I would say social skills, are part of a holistic concept. And I've find also relevant that there's this field of compound skills that, for instance, metacognition, critical thinking is also part of that. So looking on emotions does not mean that we neglect the relevance of a rational thinking. I think it's the other way around. The better we are able to control and reflect our emotions, the better we can then also access our cognitive resources. So I do this very briefly. I skipped 3 slides now, but I think if we say we want to integrate emotional skills and social skills into the career learning, we need, of course, to think about how does humans develop social emotional competences. It is something different than learning math or biology, because it's very deep rooted in our personality. And so I think it makes sense also to reduce our optimism that we can support each person in each time in their career with emotional learning, that from the down here in this diagram, the living environment, family, peers is the most important resource for developing emotional competences. And then what people live in education, training, employment is also relevant, but it's not the same relevant, and maybe there it's not part of the official didactic to learn social or emotional competences, but it is in the way how we understand a good school environment, how we support people in the relation between teacher and pupil. And on top of that, we can think about specialized programs and curricula that reflect emotional learning. And it is, for instance, difficult to, if the lower parts are not functioning, to say we can solve this in specialized programs or individual career services. So formal and informal learning here plays an extremely important role. So and this can be, you can look at the slides later on, of course, reflected on family, peers, and school in deeper. I think one sentence about the school maybe, school is, aside family, the most important social environment for the mostly informal development of social and emotional competences. And we need to think about cooperation between school and career learning to a high extent if we want to reach something here. So in my last minutes, I want just to show how we integrated social emotional competences in a career management model. And this is, you can follow then this link here. This is the career management model we have developed. And obviously, we tried in the basic competences to integrate emotional and social learning as the base for more rational career management skills. And while this is not very instructive, I just broke it down in this understanding that what you see now in the lower part, social and emotional competences like self-awareness, self-regulation, ability to collaborate, to communicate, empathy for yourself and others, and resilience are then the base to connect with career questions and all these skills we typically think of when we have the DOTS model, for instance, of course, in a more lifelong understanding. And then in addition, also with reference to the OECD model, that critical thinking and understanding complexity as a high cognitive task is the third level, but it is grounded in the social and emotional competences. So we need awareness for that. We need to think about the resources, the culture we live up in the schools, but also in the workplace, and the way we find cooperation between the different actors that can work on these skills. And as I said, it's not solely the career branch that can do that, for sure. So I have some points for discussion. If we have a minute time, I think it's more or less a summary. Social emotional competences and social emotional learning are yet not core of career work. I think this is something we can foster. Career management models can integrate social emotional competences as complementary to more cognitive skills and to support social emotional competences and SEL as a base for career learning. Different actors are important: family, school, peers, and career experts. And finally, social emotional competences are a field of learning for career practitioners. This was our assumption with the Strengths Project, and we have now in Germany we are training 6,000 practitioners integrating social emotional competences for themselves, for their balancing of emotions in the work life. And we have very positive feedbacks, and we will publish research soon on that. Thank you.